Against the backdrop of worsening climate crisis, world leaders gathered for a climate ambition summit in New York. The United Nations Secretary General is convening a summit for the first movers and doers when it comes to climate action. Without mincing words, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said humanity's addiction to fossil fuels has opened the gates to hell. While evoking the horrendous heat and historic fires that the world suffered from this year, Guterres stressed the future was not fixed and it is not too late to limit the rise in global temperatures to the maximum of 1.5 degrees Celsius.
Our focus here is on climate solutions, and our task is urgent. Humanity has opened the gates of hell. Horrendous heat is having horrendous effects. Distraught farmers watching crops carried away by floods, sweltering temperatures spawning disease, and thousands fleeing in fear as historic fires rage. Climate action is dwarfed by the scale of the challenge.
The summit is a major step towards achieving the global target of reaching net zero emissions by 2050. But leaders from two nations, China and United States, world's top two polluters, are missing in action. Together, they emit over 18 billion tons of carbon dioxide annually. Along with Joe Biden and Xi Jinping, UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and French President Emmanuel Macron are also missing the gathering. The bar was set high. Only countries planning to update their emissions cutting targets toward achieving net zero emissions, including some who are committing to phase out fossil fuel use without relying on carbon offsets, were invited to speak. A total of 34 nations got invited to speak at the summit. Now, these nations included Brazil, Canada, South Africa, Pakistan, along with European Union. Several non-member states and international financial institutions also participated in the event. The UN chief says he hopes the one-day mini-summit will inspire more investment and action by countries. The annual UN Climate Summit to COP28, set to take place later this year in Dubai. A UN report earlier revealed current emissions pledges were insufficient for keeping the global average temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius. More than 20 gigatons of further CO2 reductions are needed this decade to meet the goals. For more on this, our correspondent Susan Tehrani sent us this report from New York.
UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, along with other international officials at the climate summit, called on the international community to do more in tackling climate change, saying that countries that emit the most are simply not doing enough. However, leaders from countries like China, the United States, Russia, the UK, France, and India did not take part in this summit. For the United States, even though President Joe Biden was in town, he sent his climate envoy, John Kerry, once again raising the question about the United Nations' relevancy in tackling major issues, even climate change. While Guterres called for the phasing out of fossil fuels, many countries are faced with the reality on the ground, and what may be termed as naked greed at this climate summit may be a matter of survival for many nations around the world. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION World is One.